This writing is very large because from the top of the T to the bottom of the G is about 15 millimeters. They could be left-handed. The interesting thing about the stroke is when you see a stroke that is expanding, it can be worrying because there's an increased pressure and pushing, and it can have a sort of bullying quality. Now this writing is quite the opposite of that. So in this situation one can see that the writing started on the right hand side and moved left, and that is typical of left-handed writers. The signature is a marvelous example of somebody who is in the right job, because look at the fact that you have this Q coming off to the right here, and you have this bouncing balls in the middle right. So he is symbolically saying, this is the job I want to do. He is optimistic, he's got a rising baseline, he's trying to do his best, but there is a tendency for him to try and do too much. Do you see the way that there is a touching of the lower zone to the top of the next line? Now when you have that overlap of lines, it's somebody who's doing too much. They can be so busy that their planning ability can suffer. And in addition to that, there's a tremendous need to attain here. If you look at the pressure under the microscope, it's going from a light downstroke to a heavy upstroke. Actually, in writing, quite the opposite should be the case. This downstroke should be heavy, and this upstroke should be lighter. Now, when you have this displaced pressure, as it's called, it's somebody who has a tremendously strong need to attain, which is a very positive thing if you're a competitive player. There is an extra stroke in some of the places. Look at the way that that O has been finished off, and then that extra bit. So here's somebody who's a bit of a perfectionist. The issue here is when you have right slant, which is emotionally responsive, and connected writing, which is a sign of somebody who is a very good logical thinker, it can set up a slight indecision. I will do that, should I? I will do that, should I? Again, we see that the actual follow-through is sometimes not complete. So that slight indecision about where shall I go is showing in the structure of the letters as well. So again, it would be very interesting to see this person playing as to whether they move round the table and consider a lot of shots before actually going forward and taking that shot.